What if everything we believe about death is wrong? Today, we're diving into one of humanity's oldest, most terrifying questions. What if death is just an illusion? From the moment we're born, we're told a story. A story with a beginning, a middle, and an inevitable end. We see it in nature, we feel it in our bones, and we mourn it in our hearts. This finality shapes our lives, our fears, our love, and our search for meaning. But what if this story, the one that defines our entire existence, is built on a misunderstanding? What if the end is just a new beginning? This isn't just wishful thinking. Some of the most brilliant minds in science are starting to question the very nature of consciousness and reality. Take quantum physics. It tells us that at the smallest level, reality isn't fixed. Particles can exist in multiple places at once, only collapsing into a single state when observed. This led to a mind-bending idea called the quantum suicide thought experiment. Imagine a gun linked to a quantum particle. If the particle spins up, the gun fires. If it spins down, it clicks harmlessly. Each time you pull the trigger, the universe splits. In one universe, you die. But in the other, you live. From your perspective, you would only ever experience the timeline where you survive. The trigger clicks again and again forever. You become, in a sense, immortal. Could our reality work this way? Could our consciousness be a constant stream, always navigating the path of survival, branching into infinite parallel worlds we never get to see? This concept, known as quantum immortality, suggests that your subjective experience can never truly end. It simply continues on a different branch of reality. It's a staggering thought. It means every time you've had a close call, a near miss on the highway, a moment you thought was your last, another version of you wasn't so lucky. But you are still here, always. The consciousness you identify as yourself only ever experiences the path of continuation. Then there's the bicentric universe theory, proposed by Dr. Robert Lanza. He argues that life and consciousness are not accidents of physics, but are fundamental to the universe itself. In his view, it's consciousness that creates the perception of time and space. Without an observer, reality is just a storm of probabilities. So when the body dies, what happens to the consciousness that was observing? Lanza suggests it doesn't just vanish. How can it? If space and time are tools of the mind, then the end of the body isn't the end of the observer. He compares it to a television broadcast. When you turn off your TV set, the broadcast doesn't cease to exist. The signal is still there, ready to be picked up by another receiver. Could our consciousness be like that signal, existing outside the physical constraints of the body, timeless and spaceless? Think about the law of conservation of energy. Energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed from one form to another. We are beings of energy. The electrical impulses firing in our brains, the warmth of our bodies, the very life force that animates us, it's all energy. So, when the body stops functioning, where does all that energy go? Does it simply dissipate into nothing? Or does it, as the law suggests, transform? Perhaps into a different state of being, a different form of consciousness we can't yet measure or comprehend. Maybe the light we see in near-death experiences isn't a hallucination, but the raw and filtered energy of our consciousness being released from its physical shell. This brings us to the most personal part of this mystery: human experience. For centuries, people from every culture have reported near-death experiences. They describe leaving their bodies, traveling through a tunnel towards a brilliant light, and feeling an overwhelming sense of peace and love. They often recount seeing deceased loved ones and having a life review, where they re-experience every moment of their lives. Skeptics call these brain-based hallucinations, a final surge of neurochemicals as the brain shuts down. But the consistency of these stories across different ages, cultures, and belief systems is striking. Many report seeing and hearing things from a vantage point outside their body that are later verified. And as true, a woman describing the specific surgical tool a doctor dropped during her cardiac arrest. A man recalling conversations his family had in a waiting room down the hall. How is this possible if consciousness is confined to the brain? These accounts suggest that our awareness is not just a product of our biology but something more fundamental. Maybe consciousness is a field, like gravity or electromagnetism, that our brain tunes into like a radio. We are receivers, not the source. When the receiver breaks, the signal doesn't die. It just can't be broadcast through that specific device anymore. But if this is true, it changes everything. The grief we feel for those we've lost takes on a new shape. The pain is still real, the absence is still profound. But perhaps we are not mourning an end, but a transition. A separation, yes, but not an annihilation. Perhaps love, the strongest connection we feel, is a bond that transcends physical reality. An energetic tie that doesn't break when the body fails. Maybe the feeling that a loved one is still with us isn't just a memory, but a faint echo of a consciousness that still exists, just on a different frequency. This isn't about denying the reality of loss. It's about expanding our definition of reality itself. We are standing at the edge of a new frontier, where science, philosophy, and spirituality are beginning to converge on a single, astonishing possibility, that we are more than our physical forms. We are eternal observers in a universe of infinite possibilities, so we are left with a choice. We can continue to live by the old story, defined by fear of the end. Or we can embrace a new one, a story where life isn't a brief spark in the dark, but a continuous, unending journey of consciousness. A story where death is not a wall, but a doorway. A story where every moment we live, every person we love, and every choice we make ripples through eternity in ways we are only just beginning to imagine. If death is only a doorway, how would that change the way you live today? Let me know in the comments. Subscribe for more mind-blowing stories.